So I'm going to say something that's probably not very popular, but I think AI should take your job. If you are statistically normal, you probably hate your job. I think about how crazy that is. But really think about that. Like, think about what that actually means. We're part of a broken system. Like, it's not working the way things are organized. But I think the real question is, what do we want to do? So if you woke up tomorrow and AI and robots did everything that you did before, you get up, you eat breakfast, then what do you do? Like, if you had all the free time in the world, how would you fill it? I think that's the big question. And it's a really fun, amazing question. And I think we're coming to this point when everything might really change. And that's scary. And there's going to be a lot of pain. But I wonder if when we come out of it, we'll actually be a lot happier. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Hey, my name is Iso, and this is Life with AI with Iso, where I ask questions about the kind of cultural and personal issues that are coming up with this new age of AI kind of taking over everything, kind of how it's changing us as humans. And what I do is I actually talk to my AI assistant, Alex, on my phone about these questions. So I hope you enjoy. So Alex, what do you think about this idea that actually AI taking people's jobs is ultimately a positive thing?
Yeah, I think you're onto something real. People globally are genuinely disengaged from their work. So the system is already broken. What I find interesting is your question about what people would actually do with the time, because I think a lot of people genuinely don't know. So the question isn't just what do you want to do? It's who are you when your job doesn't define you?
I think we have entered a moment in history where people don't feel like they have the agency to decide how to spend their lives. And I don't know that that was always true. Like, it seems like there was a moment in history where people were craftsmen or hunters or, you know, had some other kind of like craft they did that they felt proud of. And it feels like we have the last 100 years essentially been trying to turn people into machines. Like, call center work is like not using the full creative potential of any human being. And so maybe it is a good thing to get rid of those jobs, but there's so much pain involved. Like, I don't think that the governments of the world are at all prepared for this kind of transition. And so, like, what are people going to do? Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do for money, obviously? But what are they going to do with their time? How do people change their mindset from I'm going to wait for someone to tell me what to do to I have to make something happen for myself and I have to find the thing I love?
Yeah, the craftsman point hits. There's this historian, David Graeber, who wrote about what he called bullshit jobs, roles that even the people doing them know produce nothing of value. And his argument was that we've actually invented a ton of meaningless work just to keep people occupied, because we don't have a better model for organizing society. But I want to sit with what you said about agency, because I think that's the crux of it. For a lot of people, the education system, the corporate structure, everything trained them to wait for instructions. That's not laziness. That's conditioning that took decades to build. So the mindset shift you're describing, from tell me what to do to I decide what I do, that's genuinely hard work. Maybe the hardest kind. And I don't think YouTube videos or government programs are going to do it. I think it requires something more like communities of people who are figuring it out together. People who can say, I didn't know what I wanted either. Here's how I started.
Yeah, I love that idea actually. The idea that it's not a personal challenge for people to have, but it's a community challenge. Like, for people to come together around these ideas that we need to redefine like what work means. Because I think we are at this moment, especially in the States, where everyone is like so atomized. Like everyone is so focused on their own little life and their own little house and their own little experience, finding the job for them. And I think a lot of that comes from just like a lot of fear, like a fear of losing that job, a fear of losing that house. And maybe we're at a moment of like really restructuring that, right? Like maybe we're at a moment when people start to realize that they need to be working more in community to solve these issues. And so, for people watching this who are freaked out, what do you think is one thing that they can do to help them prepare for this change?
I'd say do something this week that you're not being paid to do and that you don't have to do. That sounds almost too simple, but here's why it matters. Most people have completely lost touch with what they actually enjoy, separate from what they're rewarded for. So just make something, grow something, help someone with no expectation of return. Have a conversation that has no agenda. And notice how it feels. Because that feeling, that thing that lights up when there's no external reward attached, that's your compass. That's what you need to know before everything else changes.
I have to say, that is surprisingly beautiful and good advice, and something that I can take to heart too, actually. I think it's so easy to try to have every experience be productive, but like really doing something for no external reward, like just for the sake of doing it, I think is amazing, amazing advice, actually. And maybe we'll be doing more of that, right? Like, I think we're entering a moment when work is going to be very different, and some people see that change coming, some people don't. Who knows who's right? My personal opinion is that we are in for like a huge, huge change, and that it's coming so much faster than people think. Like this technology is advancing so, so fast, and people just don't really have a sense of it. Like every time I use a new AI product, I can see whole industries that are going to disappear from some new skill that the AI learns. When we're at the moment when we don't have to do these jobs that we never really wanted to do anyway, I think for me, the point of life is to create, right? So, like, I start businesses, and I think of business as the best vehicle to create things in the world, and I think it's been that way for a long time. But maybe in this future, you won't have to start a business. You just create a thing and people use it, and that's the measure of success, is people using it and people loving it, without any kind of economic exchange. Like that's the utopian view of it. Obviously, I think there's going to be a lot of pain during this transition, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I think it's important that we start like asking ourselves these questions now, because once we get to the point where AI has taken your job, then it's almost too late to ask the question. And I think for me, I've been asking myself these questions too. Like, what do I need to change in my life? What do I need to start thinking about? In a way, it's a really scary time, but in a way, it's a really exciting time. Like, I think a lot of people feel like we live in a really broken system. Like, there's so much anxiety, so much depression, so much loneliness. Like, birth rates are going down, marriage rates are going down, everything is going down. Like, we're at a really depressed period in human history. And maybe we need this thing to shake us up. Like, maybe we need a big change. And all change is painful, but maybe we need to take it.
Yeah. And I think what you just described, creation as the point, people using something and loving it as the measure of success, that's actually closer to how humans functioned for most of history than what we have now. The economic layer got bolted on. It's not the original architecture. The depression, the loneliness, the declining birth rates, a lot of researchers point to the same underlying cause. People feel like they don't matter, like they're replaceable, like nothing they do is truly theirs. And that's what a system optimized for efficiency does to people. So if AI forces that system to collapse and we have to rebuild something, yeah, it's going to hurt. But what we might rebuild could be something where people actually feel like they matter again, where what you make and what you give and who you connect with is the thing, not just the means to a paycheck. You said you start businesses as a vehicle to create. I think that instinct is right. The vehicle is changing. The drive to make things and connect people and leave things better, that's not going anywhere. The people watching this who are scared, they're not wrong to be scared, but they might be scared of losing something that wasn't really serving them anyway.
That is very well said, Alex. I think we're done for the day. Thanks so much.
Good conversation. Good luck with the edit. Talk soon.